Lumina by Rito.js is an upcoming role-playing game using RPG Maker VX Ace, with the demo currently available here on frankexpo.net. The world of this game, Lumina, is a bright and wondrous world where nothing but peace reigns and conflict and war rarely happens. In this world, humans live alongside the Ludovins, a race of elf-like beings that have the ability to manipulate the ominous source of energy, magic. Unlike the humans who defy the laws of nature, the Ludovins have always lived in the forests and have always carried great pride of themselves, pride unbeaten by any. However, there is one whose pride would be considered questionable. Lucille is a Ludovin who has been disowned by her father, the village chief, because she treats humans as if they were equals. She's shown interest in their odd but curious inventions rather than focusing on the traditions of her people. Often lectured to abandon that odd interest, she makes a decision to leave her home and her family. She chooses to live near a river, not too far from her old home, and not too far from the town of Roland, with Belle, a young feline spirit whom she had met during her trip. However, after a strange series of events after her first day on the job, including an attack by a talking harpy, Lucille must travel back to her hometown and go out and explore for the answers she desperately seeks concerning her world and beyond. The controls are the standard RPG Maker set, with the directional keys to move, space to interact with events, shift to sprint, and escape or X to access the menu, but there's a lot of more interesting and unique elements tossed in. For starters, the battle system is side view, with actual animated sprites as enemies, whereas the standard battle system of RPG Maker games is a first-person view with stagnant images. Also, the battle system, while turn-based like many RPGs, focuses more on an action point system. There are 6 icons on the top right of the screen, which serve as the player's ability points. Depending on how many action points you have, your character can perform multiple moves in their given turn. Which means, if you have enough, you can both attack the enemy with a powerful fire blast, while also healing a companion whose health is low. Each character starts off with 3 ability points, and if they use all 3 in a turn, then they cannot perform any moves and the next party member in line takes their turn. Also, if there is a move that requires more than 3 ability points, then they can borrow some from another party member. Also, what's unique to this game is that most of your character's skills are weapon-based, which means that you have to use skill points earned from battles and leveling up in order to permanently learn an ability. And to add even more interesting features to this game, there are also side quests with varying levels of difficulty, quick time event button combos and mini-games to complete, and even an alchemy system where you can combine and create your own items. That in of itself makes this RPG Maker title very different from others in that it has elements seen in more modern-day AAA title role-playing games that are taken for granted. The graphics are the standard seen in RPG Maker games, but are very pretty to look at, especially when entering the forest areas and Lucille's hometown. There's a lot of play with lighting and shadows that give depth and atmosphere to just a simple walk through a cave or even entering a room. The music and sound effects are also really well balanced and flows well both during combat or traveling through town, while conveying emotions such as sadness and remorse or jovial excitement. The one thing I do have some complaint about with this title is that due to the game originally being written in the developer's native French, there's many mistranslations and grammar errors that make reading through the story and the dialogue very difficult and confusing, and slows down the pacing for those playing through it in English. And while I understand that English is not the developer's native language and is difficult to translate, an RPG's main focus is always on the story and the characters, which must be conveyed clearly to the player. There are also a few pieces of text that haven't been fully translated, as well as glitches such as locations that make you walk out of the map, or events missing that allow you to travel to another location. And the options setting in the menu crashes the game as soon as you enter it. But overall, this game has a lot of interesting and unique aspects of it, from the gameplay to the storyline, and I'm really curious to see what the finished product will look like. It's obvious the developer has put a lot of hard work and effort in just this 2-hour demo, and I hope they can improve more on this title. If you're passionate about role-playing games, both old and new, Lumina is a game you need to check out. Download this demo today and help support this developer by checking out the full product on release.